Pickin' with a piner, pickin' with a piner, pickin' with a piner, come pine along with me. Pickin' with a piner, pickin' with a piner, pickin' with a piner, come pine along with me. Hey there, folks. We're live with episode 5 of Pickin' with a Piner. And thank y'all for tuning in. Pickin' with a Piner is a chance for us to gather together to in a community to discuss songwriting, musical influences, passion, and play some tunes for you fine folks in quarantine land. Pickin' with a Piner is a stream on both Facebook and YouTube, so you can go there to watch this. So thanks for tuning in. Tonight we have a very special guest. Please welcome Crowe-Getty to the show tonight. Kai, thanks for being on.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Kai is the lead singer and frontman and songwriter of the band Lord Nelson. Nestled in the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains in rural Nelson County, Virginia, Kai and the band create a sound that has a rock and roll identity and is heavily laced with Americana and Soul. This powerhouse band is a staple in the Charlottesville music scene and was the winner of the 2015 Rockn to Lockn Battle of the Bands. Lord Nelson has 2 full-length LPs that you can check out on the web. They have a 2018 release, Through the Night, and 2015 LP titled The Country. You can follow this band at www.lordnelsonband.com, Facebook at Lord Nelson, or Instagram at Lord Nelson Band. Or, Kai, you want me to give you your personal handle?
Sure.
Or you can follow Kai specifically at turtle_island_14. That is at turtle_island_14. And then you can also follow me and my band at Woody Woodworth on Instagram, or at Support Your Local Piner on Instagram. And then we also have a Facebook page. You can go there. And recently somebody was nice enough to create a fan page for us. And so we've got a pretty cool fan page out there. So please go to all those places and follow all this stuff. And tonight, man, I'm really excited, Kai. Thanks for being on. We've for a long time have discussed doing something together. It was for a long time trying to get a show together with our bands, but now we live in this weird quarantine world where I'm meeting you for the first time, but we're doing it virtually. So this is our first time really getting to know each other. So thanks for joining Pickin' with a Piner.
All it took was the quarantine to get this to finally come together. So yeah, man, thanks for having me. It's great.
Right, it was a forced friendship. No, you and I, we've been talking for a long time, and I love what you do with your band, and you guys got a great sound, and really been wanting to try to connect our two bands. Us being from Richmond and you guys from being up that way, and we've recently been playing out in Charlottesville, and really love the Charlottesville scene. So I'm glad we are able to do this and hang out tonight. This is just a fun night for you all out there on Facebook and YouTube to check Kai and I out, and we'll play some tunes for you. And we're going to talk about music and what we love and what makes us tick. And so that's what the goal of tonight is. And so we've got a virtual tip jar. If you're watching out there, it's scrolling across the screen. Tonight's tip jar is going to go to Kai and his band. We really want to support them during this time. And Kai, we've set up there on the bottom of the screen is his Venmo account and PayPal. So shoot them a tip if you would. We would truly appreciate it. Well, Kai, thanks again for being with us. I'm excited. You've been in the band Lord Nelson. When did you guys get founded?
Shoo. I guess technically around 2013 or 14, like that range. Technically probably a little earlier. Like all bands, we kind of had different buddies jumping in and out and playing field parties and whatever else we could do to make noise, and then it kind of became a thing, and then we put out a little EP, and then we started touring around locally and doing a few shows, and then started just growing from there, like everyone does, I think, and just you wake up and a couple albums later, and here we are.
Yeah, you're a band. Where was everyone from that Charlottesville scene, or
Yeah,
how did you all meet?
it's we have, gosh, our lineup has fluctuated over the years, but yeah, everyone's pretty much through the Charlottesville music scene, um, through Nelson County, Charlottesville, Albemarle, just folks who came through here, and some of us met playing shows in town, and playing with other bands and that kind of thing, and so yeah, it's a really nice tight knit community. So throughout the years, we've had people step in and sub and cover from other bands that we're all just try to support each other and be friendly as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that Charlottesville music scene is really a thriving scene, and you've got some great venues out that part of the state of Virginia. Virginia actually has a lot of really good bands. Virginia has got some powerhouse talent that's all over the state, and one of the things I'm hoping to continue to do is spread, people that I know, trying to bring them into my community, and vice versa. Just because there are so many talented bands out there representing the state of Virginia, and we like I said, we've been playing up in Charlottesville at the Southern, and really love that spot, and and really enjoyed coming up there to play. And we've done Star Hill over in Crowe-Getty, and just found really a great scene there, and hope to do that more sometime in the future, whenever that is.
Yeah.
But as you got, when did you get started actually playing music? I mean, you've been doing it for a while now. Did you get started in high school, or and then maybe when did you start writing? Because that's a whole different thing. But did one come before the other, or did you just? I mean, how did you get into a band? That's a weighted question. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Stumbled in the bar one night and needed a guitar player. No, my dad's been a musician his whole life, and he played in college as a songwriter. He had a cup of coffee in Nashville and decided for him. Oh, you're there, cool.
Yeah,
decided it wasn't his bag, and moved out here, built a house in Nelson County, and yeah, so he would always play around the house, and grew up playing, and kind of picked up from there. And I took piano lessons, and I stopped playing when I was writing stuff on piano, and the teacher wanted me to play the scales and the rule books, and learn my Mozart, which I had no patience for. So
Yeah.
I quit that and started playing guitar, and then had a band in middle school, Blue Lava. We played like some Nirvana and Green Day covers, and all that nice aggressive 7th grade and 8th grade
Grunge
stuff.
music.
Then,
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
yeah, man. And then a little bit through high school and kind of college, I picked around some, but didn't really get too serious, and bounced around until I moved back to the area here, and then started like really want to get after it and play out, and yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually didn't start really playing in a band until later in life. I was always intimidated. I was an athlete and played sports, and that was always my focus. And then around college, I started started taking a step back and looking at the songs I was writing, and because I'd always kind of been like a closet musician, playing, writing at night and only focusing on my music. I hated covering stuff. It was just focused on me, trying to write a tune here and there. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it. It was just an outlet for me. And then after college is when I started my first band, which ended up being a bluegrass band. But loved the guitar. Very similar to you in the sense that I fell in love with a lot of what I think was good music at the time, when that 7th, 8th grade for me. Hearing Nirvana for the first time, and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam, and that whole grunge scene opened my eyes to some really heavy stuff, but really good lyric writing, and that caught my attention. I'd always loved music. In my past, music that I connected to was always country and bluegrass, but then hearing that heavy guitar took me in a totally different direction, which God bless the electric guitar, because that kind of changed my life. when I found that, and wanted to replicate that. But very, very similar, Kai. I really wanted to just pick that thing up and learn it, and it took me a little while. I was actually self-taught. I did not want to follow the rules.
Yeah.
I did not like, any lessons or anything like that. So I'm very similar in that sense too, where I just wanted to pick the damn thing up and start banging on it, and probably picked up a ton of bad habits along the way doing that, but finally conquered that a little bit. And it's like anything else, man. You continue to learn. There's never a time when you're done learning how to play the guitar.
God, no. The more you learn, the more you realize you have so much further to go, and that's what I've been trying to work on, is just get out of ruts and take this time we have right now to do other stuff, which has been super fun. But it's,
no, absolutely. And we've got some folks tuning in. I just want to recognize them right now. Someone on YouTube's watching. They said looking forward to the show and loving what we're doing. Good friend Daniel Morales is on. He said good times. That was early on. Daniel was waiting by the computer for us. So thanks, Daniel, for tuning in. And Sonia's on. Sonia's a really, really great supporter in the Richmond area. She's a huge Trongoni fan, and she's really supported our band a lot. And then my mother's on, so that's fun.
Nice.
And my fiance's on, so half of the people watching are all related or forced to be with me. And then and then Chris Stockard's on. So hey, Chris, thanks for tuning in. This is Pickin with a Piner. We've got Kai Crowe-Getty on. I'm saying your last name right, correct? Again, out there, people listening, we just met tonight. Really, it's first time face to face virtually, but I think this is going to be a longer friendship going forward. But thanks for being on. So yeah, man, I same thing when it came to finding music. My dad wasn't musical, so you're very lucky there to at least have that influence. I was more people around me. I watched what people were doing, and my grandparents were super into the Grand Ole Opry and hee haw, so I always had that country influence always in the foreground of what I was doing. And then like I hit middle school and started finding my own musical tastes, and that led me a whole separate way. How did you get into songwriting? I mean, you do a great job writing for your band, and I don't know what your dynamics are in your band, if other people work and write within your band, but I mean, you write some really killer tunes. So when did you start writing?
Pretty early on. I had lots of terrible middle school songs, but it was great. I mean, I just churned them out. My dad was a songwriter, so he never like sat me down and told me how to do this or that, but I by observing him and by mimicry and copying some of my favorite artists, and Tom Petty was my first concert, and sort of that was the template that set me on the path. And I think it just just writing a ton through middle school, high school, and just churning them out until something stuck on the wall. So it's
Did you? I mean, I felt like this sense of, I don't know where I was, just for me it was like these words kept repeating themselves in my head, lines that would pop up, and just kind of not knowing where they came from, but just I would repeat certain things and make up things. And early on, I started recognizing that, well, maybe I was just weird. I don't know. I mean, I was always, messing around with, how to pair words together, and I don't know why I did that. I don't know if you experienced the same thing, but there's definitely a calling when you write songs. There's a calling to it, and
I was an English major in college, and I almost went into creative writing, and I took a lot of classes, but I think for me, like, I've always been god awful at math, just can barely add two and two together, but I've always enjoyed the English language and words and the way things work together, and just the puzzles. And I think I just love solving puzzles and creating them, like creating a maze you have to find your way out of. And Yeah, so that's very much still what I do to keep my brain busy. But yeah, I find that same thing. Like if I get an idea and then it's still coming back to me a day or two later, it's like, okay, this is something that I should follow down and
Yeah.
see if it's going to go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also just like listening to the different things throughout my life that I've listened to, um, whether it be traditional country music or southern rock and roll or, sort of things I started getting to in college, like the Drive-By Truckers, Jason Isbell. I just kind of, then once I had that feeling that I was supposed to be doing it, then just trying to, find my own way in it, but then also taking in that influence, listening to the band, for the first time and being like, damn, I want to sound like that, or hearing Dylan, with just an acoustic guitar, hoping to try to mimic something like that. I mean, you're always going to end up finding your own way, but I think it was the calling, and then after the calling, it was trying to figure out where I fit in there, and finding my own way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for me, like heavy into Dylan early on, Bruce, like all those guys, and then just by process of elimination, just kind of finding your voice, finding what I wanted to say, and that takes a long time. It took a long time for me.
Yeah.
To figure out what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it and what mattered to me, and I don't know, just write lots of terrible songs until those start to come clear. That's what worked for me. But
sure. Well, let's talk. Speaking of songwriting, let's kick off the night with a tune. If you've got one ready for us, go ahead and play something for us. It could be a cover or original, whatever. But thanks for listening. This is Pickin with a Piner, and tonight we have our special guest Kai Crowe-Getty on of the band Lord Nelson from the Charlottesville area, Nelson County, Virginia. And Kai's going to play us a song. So take it away, Kai.
All right. It's funny. Like we right now should be our kind of in the heat of our spring tour, and we're all gearing up for it. And so I'm gonna play this song we haven't released yet, but it's called "Putting in the Time." It's about driving around in our van and playing all types of shows. So. It's a young man's game, so get it while you can. Another bad show and you find yourself sleeping in the van. Waking up in a parking lot, thinking about the breeze rolling over those green hills just south of Crowe-Getty. It's another bar with PBR and a sound guy to follow the dead. They ain't got a place to sleep, but there is a green room shed, and the sound of strangers singing along the songs that they never heard keeps these wheels turning and the miles float away. 'Cause it's so long since I've been home for the weekend. Everyone that asks, I'm doing fine. The people all got names, but the cities look the same. And that's just what they call putting in the time. Well, she said I don't got much, but I got South Carolina, and tonight I'm gonna share it all with you. Restless feet and a losing streak makes an easy target. Never know what I got until I pass up on it. 'Cause it's so long since I've been home for the weekend. And everyone that asks, I'm doing fine. The people all got names, but the cities look the same. And that's just what they call putting in the time. In Wilmington, you couldn't take us in, and we're still a long way from Savannah. Charleston, you're coming up, by Thursday we'll be in Atlanta. So come on, take us in. Let's this ain't something you can win. Just try to keep your head above the water. 'Cause it's so long since I've been home for the weekend. And everyone that asks, I'm doing fine. The people all got names, but the cities look the same. And that's just what they call putting in the time. Putting in the time.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that one. That makes me miss playing out for sure.
Man, I was feeling that way too, and then I went and opened the door to my van the other day, and all the smells came right out, and I was, oh yeah, that's what's
what
on the other side.
Like. Yeah. Well, you guys have been, you guys go on, different runs here and there. What do you guys work with a booking agent, or is that all you all do everything independently? How does that work for you all?
Yeah, it's been a slow progression. We've, I did a lot of it myself for years, and then we started working with a booking agent maybe 3 years ago or so, and it was just a small agency, and now they're growing a little bit, sort of, which has worked nicely as they got a little bigger, and we have continued to work. So, it's a group out of Colorado, so we try to tour out there at least once a year. And
yeah, I saw that. I saw you guys going out west a little bit. That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. Taking Virginia out and representing for sure.
You never know what's going to hit and miss, but it's a lot of fun. It's just nice to be in a town where you don't know anybody and people respond. It's the little things. It can be a small, crappy bar, but if somebody responds to your music that's never heard it before, it's, oh yeah, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, I was riding around listening to your tunes today as I was out and about for a little bit, just driving my car around. And I was listening, and I definitely hear in the influence. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there, but I was hearing, and especially in your more recent release, a little bit of Warren Zevon feel to the tunes, mixed in with a little bit of Drive-By Truckers, and it was cool, man. It was cool to hear that driving guitar, alongside the really rhythmic section. And then horns every once in a while that kind of come out of nowhere, and you got that like Southern soul going on. So if you haven't listened to Kai and his band Lord Nelson, you need to go out there and check them out on Spotify and iTunes. So I hope that's an okay assessment.
That's right in our wheelhouse, man. We actually been covering Laura's Guns and Money on this last few months. So that's been a fun one. So yeah, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I got a text so of course my bandmates and we've been sitting here like dying to get back to playing, and I keep I keep getting texts from them, and like every once in a while it's like, hey, we need to cover this song. You better be learning it. And one of the ones actually was Lawyers, Guns and Money. So I think we're gonna learn that one too.
Hell yeah.
We promise, disclaimer, we won't play it the night that if we ever get back to playing live music, we play with you guys. We won't play that one. We'll let you have it.
Man, the more people covering Zevon, I think that's a good thing. So, hell yeah.
I do too. 100% agree with you there. Yeah, no, and if you're just tuning in, we're talking tonight with Kai Crowe-Getty of the band Lord Nelson, and this is episode 5 of Pickin with a Piner, and we're really happy to be here hanging out with you all tonight, and thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate the support. Kai, I want to talk a little bit about growing up in Nelson County, Virginia, but I'm going to play a tune real quick, and then we'll jump into that conversation if that's all right with you.
Hell yeah.
All right, so this is one that was off my first record. I wrote it driving up 64 and crossing over to 81. There's a little town on your way up to Harrisonburg called Verona, and I wrote this song about that. And when I was pulling together songs for my record, of course, it's heavily influenced with the places and stuff I've seen growing up in Virginia. And this is a story that as I was riding on 81, I kept writing this story in my head, and it was sort of a murder song, very very much like the Shakespeare version of Verona. And so when I went to go cut the record, my first record, I put this one on there. This song's called Verona. Just beyond Afton's View, where the rolling hills that I once knew, like words bound to a page, so ever my love was bound to thee. My dear Verona, your grace was free, but never enough to keep her with me. Our passion young, naked and strong. Well, I gave you my love like the rain gives the earth, like a ship lost at sea. So ever my love was bound to thee. My dear Verona, your grace was free, but never enough to keep her with me. My dear Verona, your grace was free, but never enough to keep her with me. Well, secrets come like a knock on the door, and kingdom come couldn't keep me when I found him next to her. Jealous eyes caused my hands to sin, and you'll never see my love again. My dear Verona, your grace was free, but never enough to keep her with me. My dear Verona, your grace was free, but never enough to keep her with me. My dear Verona, your grace was free, but never enough to keep her with me.
Great tune, man.
Right on, man. Yeah, that's a nothing like bringing the energy down in a murder ballad.
Man, I'm glad you went there. I think I used up my one major key song, so no, that's a great tune, man. That was really
Thank you. That one was on our first record we did back in 2018, around the time you put out your last album, and it was a collection of a lot of things that remind you of Virginia, and particularly right there on 81, driving up, there's a little sign that says Verona, and that's where that song came from. So it's got a little bit of Afton Mountain in there too at the beginning.
Yeah. I love it. I can see it.
Well, what I know that we're all in quarantine. How has that affected the band, and how are you keeping your keeping it positive, and what are there anything expected coming up coming up here for Lord Nelson? You guys working on any new music?
Man, yeah, we've when we got off the road last summer, it's been almost a year now, but we we had a bunch of tunes, and we decided to cut them as fast as we could and get a record out. And so we, hey Chris, my cousin's on. All right.
Hey Chris.
So we had all these tunes ready to go, and then we've been kind of doing it ourselves. My guitarist Callaway Jones is a really good engineer, and he went to school for sound recording. So he's been kind of engineering the record, and we've self-produced it. And the beauty of it is we're having a blast. The other side of the coin is that it's, you know, we're really taking forever and trying to get it right. I'm actually like set up a blanket fort in my closet here where I'm cutting vocals. So we were hoping to have the record out this summer and tour behind it, but now I'm kind of taking my time comping vocals, and we're shooting tracks back and forth. And so hopefully whenever the veil lifts, we'll have something to throw out. But we've we've been playing the songs for a little while, so they already feel like an old record at this point, even though no one's heard it yet. But we're gonna keep trying to get that inching towards the finish line. And I don't know, we've sort of scrapped our release plans for now that were in the works. Nothing was getting too crazy yet, fortunately. But so we'll take it as it comes.
Yeah, I think at this point it's just doing the best we can with what we've got, and trying to continue to be creative and write. I've been trying to write some new material, and we're kind of in the same boat. Kai, I lost you there for a second, but you'll be back in a second, I hope. But yeah, we're just working on trying to finish a record that we started back last year, and Kai's back. Yeah, there he is. But yeah, same thing, my friend. We're trying to work on some tunes that we started and have been playing out for at least a year and a half, and they all feel like, you know, they've already been on a record once, and trying to figure out a way to finish that this year. But I think a lot of musicians are in the same boat, building studios in their closets and trying to come up with ways of being creative and sharing music, and that's kind of what Pickin and a Pioneer became. It was I wanted to live stream, but I also wanted to feel that, you know, that feeling of connecting with people, and so that's why I've been kind of stumbled in this, and lost Kai again. Kai is, if for anybody that doesn't know, he's in Nelson County, Virginia, and so you know, of course, internet up there is few and far between. He will join us back in a second, and there he is. No worries, you're back, man. Hey, I blame it on the country,
man.
That's all right. That's all right. We're still trying to figure that out. So one of the things, while I got you, maybe I'll have you do another song, and then I'll ask you some questions.
Right on.
Let's see if we can get a song in there while we got you.
Why not?
And if not, I'll take over where you leave off.
Perfect. Hey, there we go. Now I'm caught up. Here's a song I wrote. So actually when I was on my honeymoon, we broke down on right near south of the border, the tourist trap.
Sure. South Carolina.
Yep, we're heading down to Charleston for a week, and spent a lot of time down there, which love that town. But so we're sitting there on the side of the road, and we end up through a whole series of events getting a ride through kind of the backwoods from this old timer there named Red, and he proceeded to tell us his whole life story in the several hours we had going past, you know, cotton fields and stuff. And so this song's called Reckoning, and it's loosely based on that car ride.
On meeting Red. This one, Red, if you're out there and you're listening, South Carolina, yee. This one goes out to you.
Exactly. Cool. Lay you down on a bed of roses, but now they're only stones to me. Somewhere on the border of South Carolina, I'll be waiting by the A&P. You work the fields and then you pick me, as if there was ever doubt. Lay you down on a bed of roses, roses they've been running out. Somewhere out in the wilderness, well, I know we all get lost. Like when the words come to your lips and then they just turn to frost. We had a child named after your mother. We put 2 more in the ground and another.
I've been talking. We're still figuring out this this technology, but Kai got cut out. I brought him back in. You got cut off somewhere around the chorus.
Yeah, must have been a cloud over the house today, but it's like that here. Okay.
Well, I was trying to explain to people what happened, and I was on mute. So we really look like a clown show right now. So
oh man, we're supposed to get real internet here, but man,
that's all right. That's all right, man. Pick up where you were.
All right, let's
keep it going.
When the words come to your lips and then they just turn to frost. We had a child named after your mother. We put 2 more in the ground. Another life, I could have been something, but I only seem to bring you down. And every heart has a reckoning. Every home is just a guessing game. And all these shadows, they will come again. And I will love you until the end. Oh, until the end. Waking up to an empty bed, I see you laying on the bathroom floor. This life wasn't easy on us, but that wasn't what we came here for. Walking back from the graveyard, I went back to church. Turn the engine over, the TV off, and then it's just back to work. Every heart has a reckoning, and every home is just a guessing game. And all these shadows, they will come again. And I will love you until the end. Yeah, until the end. reckoning, and every home is just a guessing game. And all these shadows, they will come again. And I will love you until the end.
That was awesome.
We made it through that time. All right.
Hey, man, thank you. That was not easy. For those of you listening out there, Kai dropped out, and somehow when he came back in, was able to pick up right where he left off, which for me, that is incredibly hard to do, to pick up lyrically where you're supposed to be in the song. I usually, if I can't start it from the beginning, it's hard as hell to pick it up in the middle somewhere, man. But you did it, and that was awesome. Yeah. I really like that one. What? Tell me the title of that one again.
It's called Reckoning.
Yeah, that was good. I really liked that. The chorus was great, man. I was singing along with you in my head. Is that one on a record, or is that a newer? Or
that was
you
on,
wrote it back then. Was that on country?
It's on the county, and
the county. Shit, I messed that up in the intro. It's the county, not the country. But.
No, it's we've had that happen a bunch. I've done it too. But yeah, no, it was on that record, but it's kind of changed a few different times as we played it live. Like, it's a slightly different groove now, and but yeah, that's been a fun one that we don't play live too often, and I haven't played in a while, but yeah.
Well, that one in particular, that might be one of the ones that you just come out and do on your own, man. That was solid, stripped down. I mean, I hope everybody out there listening appreciated that one. That was a great song, man. I really enjoyed that one, and it was beautiful, just stripped down the way it is.
Well, thanks, man. Oh, man, all my little cousins are watching. Hey, Tommy, Ryan, and AJ.
Yeah.
Hey, dudes. All right.
Apology to you all for Uncle Woody using the S word. My bad. Thanks for tuning in and listening to us play. And thank you to my guest, Kai, who's on tonight, sharing his wonderful music with us. And we were talking earlier, Kai, about where you grew up and where you're from. Even before we started the podcast, you and I got into a deep conversation about it. And what was it like growing up in Nelson County?
Man, it's a cool area in that my parents were both from military families and moved around most of their life, and so when they both decided they wanted to raise their kids in one place, and so in '73 they moved to Nelson County, and there was sort of a wave of alternative lifestyle folks, hippies, freeform artist types.
Right.
So my dad's been an artist his whole life. He's a professional potter, makes wood-fired pottery.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So it was a unique experience growing up in the woods out here, and they built their own house, and we just kind of ran around the woods and streams and rivers, and kind of had free reign of the land. So it was really a wonderful childhood out here. Excuse me.
What a way to grow up, man. Very fortunate, yeah, and it's like kind of sheltered in the best way, I guess, and then plenty of time for me to figure out things in the world, but and then I moved around, and I always thought I'd be back, but I didn't think I'd be back as soon as I ended up back here, and I realized moving away and trying to start bands in other towns and figure stuff out that kind of everything I was after was back in this area. So so yeah, it's just I've always had a pull here, and I think that's why I was drawn towards artists. Bruce always writes about Jersey, and certain songwriters who really have a sense of place in their songs, like you were singing about Verona, and so I really identify with that. I think
that area, yeah, man, the Shenandoah Valley, Blue Ridge Mountains, and the Parkway, and even if you go further west, Appalachia, man. I mean, there's deep roots though there, especially in Virginia, with folks that are from from here that were made a huge impact. The Carters in particular, a little bit further west of where you are. They were from that area, and went to Bristol, I think on like a day and a half trip on a little small either Model T or Ford, and went there and recorded as a group there in Bristol, and pretty much impacted and changed the way
people were doing music, especially with Mother Maybell's guitar picking. That was revolutionary. And but we have deep roots here, and the music, I think, is continuing to resonate with the places that we know and grew up around, and trying to write about characters that are based off of people we know, people we see, people we interact with at the AMP, people that you pass on the road waving, and people you went to church with as a kid, or if you didn't go to church, people you just grew up around. And I think it's important when you're writing to be true to yourself, and try to write about things. People ask me all the time about when I write. Is it 100% biographical? And in some cases, yes. In some cases, no. A lot of times, it's an idea that I run with, and it's based off of something I experienced. What about for you, in your writing process? How does what you know and how you grew up affect your writing style?
I think that's I feel very similar in that, when you see an actor, they're playing a part. But sometimes when you hear a song, people expect that every word to be autobiographical or confessional from the songwriter. And so I operate very much from that same place, that there has to be agency to it for me to feel like I can step into that world, and some part of that. In every song, there's something that's a personal experience or a personal anecdote woven in there for it to feel real to me. But I also like to have, I did a lot of writing and fiction writing when I was younger, and I really enjoy that, to be able to step into a character's head to understand a different world. And it's freeing. It's an adventure. So I think similarly, it needs to feel real to me. It needs to be something I can talk about honestly, but it needs to also have a connection to something real.
Yeah, John, of course we lost John Prine this year, and I was listening to a John Prine interview, and he was saying, because he was probably one of the best of stepping into a character and writing honestly, and it being so believable that you almost thought it was something that he really experienced, and in some cases he did. And I was listening to an interview where he was talking about his writing, and he would say, sometimes I don't know if these songs are an actual memory or a thought that I actually had, or if it's something that I really experienced. It's just you cross into this weird world when you're writing, whether it's an experience that you've had that influences a story that you come up with. And so it works either way. Being that third party writer looking into the human experience and trying to capture that, or it's something that's completely autobiographical. And I think it works either way.
And there's that hard line, I think, every writer, I think, comes into. It's like, well, is this character or is this story too much of a stretch? Are people gonna buy it? And are you stepping too far into a character? But I think you only figure that out by doing it. Yeah. By seeing what works and what doesn't, and what feels honest. And
I agree with you 100%. And the people that I grew up around, they were all characters. So for me, I had a lot of influence because of the personalities that were around me, from my grandparents and cousins and uncles and people I went to school with, and I even had a friend, Tex Beaver Dam. There's a part of Hanover County before you get to the Louisa County line, where I spent a lot of time as a teenager. We lived out there in Beaver Dam, Virginia, and they have the same internet issues as you're having right now. So the pain is real. But I was gonna play a tune, and talking the way we were talking, it made me switch my idea of what I was gonna play. So this is I was sitting in a hospital room with my grandmother, and my mom, she lost her older brother at 17. He was 17. She was a young teenager, and he passed away in a car accident. And my grandmother never talked about it. Never spoke really a lot about that pain and what they experienced as a family. My mom would tell me about it, but one day I was in the hospital room with my grandmother. She was sick and in the hospital, and she started telling just spewing out like all these stories about that whole time period. And I had my phone, and I was just I was capturing like bullet notes, and those ended up becoming a song. And it's a song written, and just to give people a little bit of background, it's a song written about my uncle. He passed away way before I was born, in the summer of 1971, and my mother. And the song is written from the perspective of my mother, watching all this happen and trying to make sense of it. But this song's called "The Day That Ronnie Died." July 5th, 1971, we were just out of high school. 2 years past the summer of love, Ronnie was 18 years old. Nixon was president, and we were still in Vietnam. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young sang Ohio. And he was falling in with Becky, and they were falling in love. Headed down to the river just to sit in a parked car. And I remember those nights felt so long, when Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young sang Ohio. The day that Ronnie died, Mama just cried and cried. The day that Ronnie died. But no one saw it coming. It happened just like that. Well, some things you do, you can't ever take back. And broken glass and headlights on a worn out stretch of track. Some live to remember, some live to forget. The day that Ronnie died, Mama just cried and cried. The day that Ronnie died. People came from miles to pay their respect. And Becky stood next to Mama, I just stood by myself. And I remember the nights felt so long. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young sang Ohio. The day that Ronnie died, Mama just cried and cried. The day that Ronnie died. And Daddy found the bottle, wanted to die too. Some things that happen you just can't undo. 'Cause when you're young, you wanna live forever, but time goes on forever and ever. The day that Ronnie died, Mama just cried and cried. The day that Ronnie died.
Nice, man.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that was one of those ones that just was. I mean, it's not something I experienced, but just trying to step into my mom's shoes
Yeah.
when all that went down, and her view of her parents when that was happening, and the chaos that surrounded, and just kind of trying to deal with being very alone.
Man,
Um,
yeah. I really like that acoustic too. I don't know if you've ever done full band, but that's cool to hear a really sparse, let the lyrics come through there, and really strong sense of place and time, and yeah.
but thank you. Yeah, we love doing that one. We usually follow it up with Ohio. We'll play that right back to back with
Did you
that
just hit the
song.
lick there right at the end to tag
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Cool. Okay, I was like, ah,
yeah.
I like it.
Yep.
Nice, man.
That's the intro. Dun, dun, dun,
Hmm.
dun, dun, dun. Yep.
Hmm.
But man, yeah, no, it's songwriting. You never know exactly how to do it, and I don't think there's a right way to it. And we've talked a lot about that on this show. Is just trying to figure out your own way um, to do it. What's your process like? Are you a sit down writer, or you just kind of write as the day goes along, or how does that work for you?
I feel like I usually get like an idea or an earworm, and like my phone has, I don't know, 200 random things in there that no one will ever hear,
Yeah,
hopefully. And
voice
then
memo, the memo.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
and because I think I do most of my work since I live far away from everything. I'm always driving somewhere, and that's my like time to just be
Mm.
there. So whether I'm driving or I'm like walking my dog on the road and it's nothing around to distract me, that's when I start getting ideas. And it used to be I just jam for a while until something came, and now it's by the time I sit down with a guitar, I kind of have a structure, or at least get the melody together, just and have the chords in my head. But they rarely come down like I rarely sit down and just knock it all out.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but usually something I've been chewing on for a while, and so by the time I sit down, then I've done all the mental work to know where I'm going with it and
Sure.
what I don't like. But yeah, I try to do as much preparation in my head, I guess, because I don't have. Well, now I have a lot more time with my guitar,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, that's being I think it's we were it's terrible what's happened, and I know there's a lot of people struggling, and the reason why we're doing these streams is for those people out there watching and wanting to enjoy some live music and hear more about where the music comes from. And but for me, I've experienced a little bit of a slowdown in pace,
Mm-hmm.
which is I live in Arlington, Virginia, and it's just uh, it's a rat race here, being right outside of DC, and um, I've had to take a step back in that pace of life, and I wish I wish I focused more on my priorities before now, and would actually separate some time to read and write and focus more on that creative aspect of it. I think a lot of times my struggles are just being distracted by everything else around and not being able to get real quiet with myself. And I love riding around, and I think the motion or the
Mm-hmm.
rhythm of the car oftentimes helps bring lyrics along, whereas you're just sitting still, it doesn't. So it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you experience the same thing.
Yeah, I think I've been very much in the same mode as you. It's everything I do to make money is freelance, or it includes a lot of hustling or calling or emailing. There's a lot of that and logistics, and you sort of have to always be on and always take the call and always be figuring out ways to promote, or all that stuff. And so I think while this time has been you know catastrophic in a lot of ways, just on a personal level, it's like you were saying, allowed my brain just to slow down a little bit, which has been really really helpful. And sort of I don't know, I've been doing a lot of construction and just like taking my mind off stuff, and it's been really nice to sort of open up these pathways again, so songwriting doesn't feel like I have to squeeze it in the half hour it
Yeah.
takes for me to get to town. That now it's like while I'm walking the dog or I'm outside doing work, it's been a different process, which is cool to discover that again.
Yeah,
Feels
I
like I don't
agree.
know.
I agree. I hate
Yeah.
that it took what it did to bring us there, but
Yeah.
it definitely taught me to try to rearrange some of those priorities and make some time for it, because if you're really doing it and you're trying to be serious about it, I think that time is necessary. I mean, but during the normal work week, man, it's hard to make it that break out an hour of time just to do that, because when you do have an hour of downtime, it's away from work, it's away from all the other busyness of life, and it just becomes kind of like personal time. And then to be wrestling with a song is a whole different monster. And I don't know about you, but experiencing writer's block from time to time is hard not to get personally frustrated.
Oh yeah, and then feel that pressure of like, okay, I got 1 hour tonight where I can sit down and that's part of the discipline, which is, it makes sense. I try to stick to that, but it's been I don't know, it's hard for me to just turn on creativity. It has to be.
and I hear, I mean interviewing a bunch of different folks, I mean I hear both sides of the fence on that one. I mean I for a long time I would try to commit time weekly to work on stuff, and I created songs when I did that, and it's productive. Other times it's been doing it daily or as much as I can. I get frustrated more often when it doesn't come as natural as when an idea hits you out of the blue, and you feel that inspiration from somewhere else. And I think it's important to be dedicated. And I mean, you were telling me you went to school for English, and I think it's important to really try to refine your craft and learn as much about it as possible, and listen to other people that you love and then influence you. But I think it sometimes it has to be a mixture of both, and who knows what the right way is. It's whatever works for that artist.
But I think it's just like we were talking about sports earlier. It's like just getting your reps. That simple thing of, if you can put in the time, the first 5 or 6 blocks, you may not get anything, but then you're getting, and that's what I've found now is I'm playing guitar and a lot more than I was previously, and it's just when I sit down now, things are starting to come quicker. So chewing a little of the fat out. But
no, absolutely, and I totally agree with you. I think reading often helps me too with keeping those chops, because you learn words, phrases, stories that kind of come to mind as you're doing that. And I think Steve Earle's a big proponent of you can't be a songwriter unless you read. And I don't know if he got that from Guy Clark or where, but I don't think Steve Earle is listening, so he can't fact check us on that. But I know he said 2 different things. One was, Townes Van Zandt was the best songwriter that ever lived, and he'll get on top of Bob Dylan's coffee table in his cowboy boots and tell him that. I think something along I think I bastardized that quote, but I also know that he's quoted at some point about reading being extremely important to being a songwriter.
Oh, definitely. My favorite Steve Earle quote is, "Well, I've been married 8 times, and I'm starting to think it might be me."
That's good.
No, I love him, man.
Yeah.
Guitar Town was one of those records that really opened my mind.
Yeah. No, definitely, and it's super influential. Him, Guy Clark, and then tracing back from Steve Earle, because I found Steve Earle first, and then traced back to Townes Van Zandt, and then from Townes actually back to Guy Clark. That's kind of how my movement worked in that group of Texas songwriters. And Steve Earle, ironically, I think his father or something was from Eastern Virginia at some point, and then they moved down to Texas.
Okay.
But I don't think he was from Virginia. I think he might. I don't know if his grandfather or his father was from Virginia at some point. But weird, interesting fact if you're listening to Pickin with a Piner with Woody Woodworth and Kai Crowe-Getty. We're talking songs and playing some. And so, Kai, why don't you give us another tune? You got one in you?
Yeah, man. In fact, I'm going to down-tune my guitar a second. And
all right.
I like this because I had a different one in mind, and you played that one. It made me, I don't know, go a new direction. Let's see.
Hey, that's what the freedom of this stream, pod streaming, or whatever we call this, the glory of it is it's all in real time. So if we decide to change it up, it's on us to execute it. And if we don't, it's out there for the whole world to see.
Exactly. Well, down a G string.
Down a G.
Yep,
that happens again. We're live, and this is real, and this is what it looks like and feels like when things don't go the right way. But you're listening in with Pickin with a Piner, and that's Kai breaking G strings.
I got a backup right here.
Take it away. I'll play a tune. I'll play a tune while you go do that.
People happy. All right,
okay.
Be right back.
And for those listening, this song is a song called Bastards. It'll be on some next tunes that we write and create. It's a little bit past 8:30, and we're coming up on the hour, and I'll play a couple more. We'll get a couple more songs in here, and then call it a night. But thank you all so much for listening in. This is Woody Woodworth and Kai Crowe-Getty from the band Lord Nelson, and we're talking music and playing tunes. So thanks for listening in. This song's called Bastards. Granddaddy said, boy, there ain't no easy way out. Don't let another man do what you can do yourself. Take care of your mama when I'm gone, and always look out for number one. They're just bastards, every goddamn one. They're just bastards. Think they're better than who you are. But trust your gut, it won't ever let you down. I've never known an honest man to have to explain himself. The crowd's too loud for this cover band, and they don't even know the words. You give them all you have, forget about your worth. They're just bastards, every goddamn one. They're just bastards. Think they're better than who you are. Where I grew up, talk is cheap, and it don't matter who you are. When I close my eyes at night, I can hear your dying words. They're just bastards, every goddamn one. They're just bastards. Think they're better than who you are. If you're just tuning in, we've entered the non-PG version of the show. That song was titled "Bastards." That's a new song that the band and I have been playing out, written about human frustration, but comically written from the perspective of my grandfather, who I used to ride around with him in the West End. And Kai, we talked a little bit earlier how my family, my grandpa, all of his family and kin are from Greene County, Virginia, and so his father grew up in a dirt dirt floor house in Bacon Holler, and then eventually moved down to Louisa. And so my grandfather was extremely country, and in the West End of Richmond in the Short Pump area, he had chickens and horses, and the county was called on him all the time for having a little farm in the middle of suburbia. and anyway, when I would drive him around places, when he got old and couldn't drive himself, we'd be driving around the West End together, and for some reason he called everybody a bastard. And after he passed away, I was frustrated about something, and the words that I heard was him, because I always laugh when he called people that. It was always extremely funny to hear him say it and the way he said it. He'd be riding around Walmart in one of them little scooter things with a little basket on the front.
Yeah.
He'd be running into people and calling them bastards, and it was just he was a hoot. He was a character, and I miss him, and I loved him, and I still love him. But anyway, he's right here. That's Pawpaw.
Man.
And anyway, he was just a funny dude, and I think I kind of look like him a little bit. I don't know if y'all are out there. I don't know, but anyway, Pawpaw was a shiflet, and was from Love Charlottesville. He was used to brag to people, other than calling people bastards all the time. He used to brag to people about being born in UVA Hospital.
That's where I was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, got something in common.
I hope I get to have that phase of life that he did. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Man. So anyway, well, you're back. Thanks for making that effort to get the guitar and come back. We got your whole song down tune, note, and you got all your G strings.
Got all of them on. It was a good segue. This is I remember there's a photo of my grandmother, who I never met, passed away before I was born, and there's all of them hanging out in the 70s in their backyard. My grandparents, all, Irish Catholic families, lots of socializing, and she's sitting. She had these cool sunglasses on. She's sitting in a lawn chair with a glass in her hand, and I just remember that photo. And that was that was the kernel of truth in this one, I guess.
Oh, and, awesome. Cool.
So here's the other. Let's see. Staring at the pictures laying on the floor. There he is in 53, a few years from the war. She's sitting in a lawn chair in a sundress drinking gin, staring up in every frame, slowly growing thin. With barbecues and birthdays, taps and Catholic Mass, she talks about her parents like one day they'll be back. So when she went to meet them on that August day, stood out in the parlor, stared out at the bay. So lay me down in a southeast state, the bow bends but it never breaks, 'cause he finds in a sense of fate coming down. And keep both hands on the wheel, never learn to lose a feel of turning around before the hour's late to a southeast state. And that long gravel lane where you learn to drive, grinding gears to Springsteen, the sunlight in the pines. Now waking in the city and you're slowly growing numb, listening to sirens, wondering what you have become. So lay me down in a southeast state. The bow bends, but it never breaks. Cut two fines and a sense of fate coming round. And keep both hands on the wheel. Never learn to lose a feel. Turning around before the hour is late to a southeast state. The bow bends, but it never breaks. Cut too fine and Queen Anne's lace in the ground. And keep both hands on the wheel. Never learn to lose the feel. Turning around before the hour's late to a southeast state. Southeast state.
Nice. I like that one too.
Thanks, man.
Man, I can't wait for this shit to be over with so we can get out and play some music, man. I want us to make sure we book in the coming year for sure, man. I love your music and I like what you're doing. You've got a nice way of putting words together. And I hope everyone out there is enjoying it as well. But I think our bands would do really well together in the future.
Yeah, man. I think it's a great call. And it's funny. I was talking to another musician friend the other day, and we're sort of thinking of how this all shakes out. And someone was saying, you know, people aren't going to be able to go to shows for a while. It's going to be hard financially for everyone. But I think while this is great, and I've loved seeing so many of my friends doing great live streams, some artists I really love in their living room, and it's awesome. It's really cool. But I think nothing can beat that, you know,
being in the room,
small dark room with your friends and seeing a kick-ass band.
Absolutely, and feeling the drums on your face. You know, I mean, it's like
right in the chest.
It's something that hits you in your heart, and you can't replace that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know you got a lot of records there behind you, and I listen to a lot of vinyl as well, and I love live vinyl. I love listening to live records with the grit and dirt and everything else in it. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are missing the live music scene as well. And you're right. I mean, we can only do the best we can with what we have, and I think it's going to be a while before we get back to normal. And it's hard to feel that natural connection that you have with people when you're in a room and the environment is there and created because of the music that's playing, because of the people in the room, both receiving and giving. And it's a very communal thing, playing music, not just with the band on stage, because if you're not in community together on stage, it comes, it's very apparent. But that community is just as important with the listeners out there who are feeling the music that you're providing to them. And it is a two-way street. And, I've played to empty rooms. I'm sure you have too. And it's not the same feeling as a sold-out show.
Yeah. No, that's why I think that, I don't know, the optimism in me, which can be fleeting, but I believe that this is just going to be one hell of a party whenever the doors do open again, that everyone's going to be really, really hungry. I know all the musicians are going to be pumped to finally play shows again. People are going to be excited to go out and see their friends and have community. And, we just got to see each other through to that point.
And let's hope that, that people that are struggling are getting through this time. Friends of ours that are in the music scene that do this pretty much full time and have gig jobs and work in the restaurant industry and aren't able to bring home a living and to support themselves and the music that they want to make. And if you're listening out there, there's plenty of community, things that are out there that are supporting restaurant workers and gig workers and people who just can't go to work even though they want to and are willing to go to work. They just can't. So I encourage you, if you're listening, to make sure you're supporting your community and local businesses and the people around you. And I believe it too, man. I think the floodgates are going to open, and I think people's perspectives are going to be a little bit different as well. Maybe there'll be less people talking in the back of the bar when the band is playing.
One can dream.
One can dream. You can always have a dream. But yeah. So it's hard to say what's next for the band. But I hope you guys really are able to finish what you started with the recordings, and I can't wait to hear what you guys are able to create from there. Just working from home, I'm gonna be trying to do the same thing. I mean, we're trying to I have a band call every week where we're talking with each other, trying to figure out creative ways of still engaging and keeping the music alive and not slowing down. What have you guys been doing anything like that?
We're starting to. I think everyone was just, we all like are in different places, and it was kind of a shock to go from thinking we're gonna be on the road for a while and gearing up towards getting the album done and this and that. So me and Callaway have been shooting tracks back and forth to get the album wrapped up. But I think we're talking about trying to. I mean, fortunately, we all have, at least with your phone, you can make a demo and send it around to your buddies, and definitely trying to do that because I don't want to feel like we took a year off or whatever. God, hope it's not a year, but who knows. So I think we're gonna start sending demos around, trying stuff out, just try to keep the ball rolling as much as we can. Have you guys been doing that too with actual demos?
Very much the same thing. Well, we recorded a live record in January at a show we did. It was cool. It was a sold out show back in January, and with a couple of really great touring bands, Lost Dog Street Band and their 3-piece out of Nashville, and a songwriter named Casper Allen, and it was talk about. So we had actually taken a 2-month break to record, and so we had been in the studio recording, and then we got the call to play this show at the end of January, and so we really didn't have anything lined up for the beginning of the year, and we. We were so excited. It was like the first show we were playing of the year, and it was sold out, and it was a great way to start 2020. And then right afterwards, everything tanked. We got in 3 more shows. We did a run down to North Carolina, and then shortly afterwards, we got hit with all of this. And but we've been trying to do the same thing, just stay in touch with each other. I've been writing. We're trying to finish that live record, which it's done. It's mastered. And I'm set to release this month. It's a 7-track live record, which is really cool.
Awesome.
Warts and all, but we're very proud of it, and you can feel it. You can feel that experience of the live room in the recording, and I'm very proud of it. So it's something that, it's a capsule of time. So that's one thing, and then I was telling you earlier, we're just trying to finish. We started a record. We have 5 songs recorded. Songs that are familiar to people, songs that get requested when we play, and just trying to finish that. Right now it's all in limbo, and it's hard to get into a studio to finish things, and so we're just trying to figure all that out right now. And then I'm trying to write every day, and some of this this stream is forcing me to write because I try to play. This is the first night I haven't played a new song that I've been writing, so I've been trying to play a new song every time I do one of these. And just based the way our conversation went tonight, I just ended up playing some older stuff. Yeah. But yeah, same boat, man. Just trying to figure out how to be creative and make it through this time, without falling off and making my band stay happy. Because I don't know about you, but I love my band. I couldn't do what I do without them. The same way I couldn't do what we do without the audience. My band is just so many humble guys that support and time again show up and really knock it out of the park. So I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, very fortunate that the crew we have right now, it's definitely do not take themselves seriously at all, but do take the music very seriously. So it's the perfect combo. Yeah, I really miss being in a van with those dudes right now, and it's weird going this long between shows. It's a weird feeling. I haven't had this in a long time. So yeah, can't wait. But
well, I think we got about time for. Do you want to do one? Do you have time for one more tune?
Sure.
Would you mind? I know you've tuned to G.
Let me get. See if I can do this without breaking any more strings here, real quick.
Yeah. While Kai is tuning, I'll give you all a heads up. So we got a virtual tip jar going at the bottom. This is episode 5 of Pickin with a Piner. Kai Crowe-Getty from the great Charlottesville area band Lord Nelson. If you haven't listened to their stuff, I encourage you to go out and listen on Spotify, iTunes. Their music's all over, but they have 2 records out, Through the Night and The County, and both are really good records, and you can hear the influence of a lot of similar music I love, Drive-By Truckers and Warren Zevon. You can hear that all in their music. So they're really rhythmic, driving guitars, great lyrics, and really interesting horn sections that come out of nowhere. So if you're intrigued, please go out there and follow them and listen to their music. They're all over social media. And you can go to LordNelsonBand.com and find more information out about Kai and his band. And thanks so much, Kai, for being a part of the show tonight. We've really enjoyed having you, and excited to see what happens after all this.
Well, thanks for having me, man. This has been a blast, and like I told you earlier, but as was evidenced by the show, I've been leery to do anything online with my my country internet out here. So I'm glad we were able to get back on track. In
my mind, you got some goats out back, and they're turning some sort of spindle, and it's creating electricity.
Forgot to feed the goats tonight, man. You're right.
Yeah, man. You got to make sure them or you overfed them and they're working slow.
Exactly, sluggish goats. You don't want that. Well, no, thanks so much for having me, man. This is a lot of fun, and hopefully more and more good things will come out of this, and look forward to
yeah, man. I've enjoyed this, man. I feel like we've known each other forever. I mean, it's weird. We talk so much online and social media, talking about trying to do stuff together, and it's weird. You meet someone and you realize, hey, man, we're very similar in a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that make that there's a common thread among a lot of musicians and people that do this thing and spend their time doing it. And anyway, man, I feel like I've known you forever already. Just
man.
Sit down together. So
it's funny. Really, your family hails from Bacon Hollow, and I actually live in a cove, which is basically a big hollow right now in Nelson County. Wow. So it's in the water, man.
Yeah, man. Yep, absolutely. We'll play us one more tune.
Cool. I'm gonna do on with the Lord Nelson tune called Virginia.
Nice.
I fought in a war. Yes, I know what for. They called my name when the house was split in two. In the forest of Laurel, the wilderness was brutal, and my boots just filled with blood as I leave you now. And I'm marching through the valley, Shenandoah, please forgive me, for I know now what it is I do. In these moments of stillness, huddled in the trenches, and the only hole in Petersburg is in the middle of my heart. So don't sing to me about her until she lets you in. Ah, Virginia, I'm covered in sin. And don't raise the stars above me, 'cause the bars are growing thin. Ah, Virginia, I'm covered in sin. And dear Martha, I'll write you as soon as I am able, but but they got me moving so many miles these days. And the bullets, they fly through the bodies, through the pines. Nothing left but memories of better times. So don't sing to me about her until she lets you in. Oh, Virginia, I'm covered in sin. And don't raise the stars above me, 'cause the bars are growing thin. Oh, Virginia, I'm covered in sin. Covered in sin. And don't sing to me about her until she lets you in. Ah, Virginia, I'm covered in sin.
Very, very nice. Hey, man, here's to Virginia.
Cheers. Thanks, man.
Cheers, brother. Yeah, thanks
Fun
so much
evening.
for being on episode 5 of Pickin with a Piner. I think that's a good one to end tonight on.
Well, I can't wait to see what else you got in store for this, and I think this is an awesome series, and yeah, keep on keeping on.
We've got some. I'll make an announcement. I've got some names already lined up, and some you might know, and some you might not. And if you don't, I recommend checking out. But I've actually got a pretty good lineup coming up. I have next week Mackenzie Rourke of a band called Pistol Sister. She's a local Richmond songwriter and artist. Incredible singer. Probably one of the best country vocalists, singers. And I'm not talking about radio country. I'm talking about roots country, American blue collar music, and she's one hell of a singer-songwriter, and I'm a huge fan of Pistol Sister. And anyway, she's going to be on next week. And then I have a blues picker from the Richmond area. His name's Justin Golden. He was he actually, I did an event, Kai, which I want you to be on at some point. It's called the River City Review. And it's a collaboration of country, rock and roll, bluegrass, and blues music. And it's kind of like a little Grand Ole Opry experience where we've been inspired by Richmond used to have a long time ago. They had a barn dance, and then in the 90s it was revived, and it was called the Cap City Barn Dance, Capital City Barn Dance, and so we're just trying to redo that. And but I want to broaden it. I want it to be more than just Richmond. I want it to include the good people of Charlottesville, Harrisonburg, Bristol, Northern Virginia, Southern Virginia, Eastern Virginia, anywhere we can get them. I just know there's a shit ton of good music out there in the state of Virginia, and I just want to make sure we showcase that, and that's what that's all about. So Justin Golden will be on in 2 weeks, and got a couple other surprises coming up, but those are the next two coming up. Trying to get a few others in store for that. So I'm lining up people. If you've been listening and you want to be on the show, please contact me through Facebook. You can just message me, and we'll try to get you on. But just trying to create a lineup. But those are the next couple of weeks, and then we'd like to keep some surprises. But that's what's coming down the pipeline for this.
Dig it, man. Well, you got a lot going on, and best of luck keeping your brain together during this period. And,
yeah, man.
Great hanging out.
Well, no, thank you for hanging out with me. It's been fun. This is episode 5 of Pickin with a Piner with Kai Crowe-Getty of the great band Lord Nelson. Please go check out their music at lordnelsonband.com. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. And please reach out and follow the Piners if you can. Support your local Piner. And we'd appreciate it as well. You can find us on Facebook. We've got a band page and a fan page. And then we're on Instagram as well, and just follow us on Woody Woodworth. So thank you for tuning in. This is episode 5 of Pickin with a Piner, and Kai Crowe-Getty. Thank you, man. Thanks for being on. I feel like we're longtime buddies, and we'll continue to be friends. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man. Talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good evening.
All right,
Thank you.
peace.
Bye.